losing tempo on offense just historically over the last few years. How much of a challenge is that to try to deal with, particularly just given the size that they also have across the floor?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're as good as they are offensively. Last season, obviously, was a historic year for them. And then this season, after a slow start, they've really gotten it going. And recently, their defense has been outstanding. And so they've strung together, 5 games or so of very, very high-level play on both ends of the floor. I think they might have the best net rating in the league over that period of time. And so we understand how well they're playing and how confident they are right now. And that, if we want to compete in the game, we're going to really have to earn it.
So their defense has stood out to you these last 5-6 games. What to you is different about it compared to last year, earlier this year, any sort of stretch of time you can remember with this group?
I'm always careful. I don't watch every game of the opponent, so I can't tell you what's different about them. I haven't watched all 5 games. I'm looking at their numbers and I'm watching one game and then a selection of clips. And so the numbers are what's standing out. And then when you watch them on film, there's high energy, physicality. They jam things up on the perimeter. They ball pressure, and then they've got rim protection back there as well. And so they look pretty disciplined to me. And they look very connected on that end of the floor from what I've seen, but I can't make a big picture comment about their team.
Well, you look at their average shooting percentage for this team from last year, this year.
Our team or Indiana?
You go from first to 19th in the league. I imagine that variables in there as to why that might be his advantage, maybe Shea as well. There's probably a bunch of variables. Because this is like a new team, is that a number you're looking at? How much does that actually matter to you?
3-point shooting percentage. What matters to us is the quality of those shots. And last season, something about, I think over 75% of our shots from 3, based on our internal metrics, were what we consider very good shots. And so our percentage was really good as a result of that, and we shot it well. This year, it's probably a little over 70, which is a trade-off we're willing to accept. We're allowing guys to be a little bit more aggressive from the 3-point line, namely Shea and Dub. But even guys like Wiggins, we're encouraging to take more threes because he's just shot it so well on lower volume in the past that we're kind of stretching and seeing, what that does. So Wiggins at 40 or whatever on higher attempts is a trade-off we take rather than 48 on very, very low attempts. So some it's that, some is shooting variance. I think there's some good ones we've missed. We have not shot as well on our highest quality shots than we did last season, which is a good opportunity. It gives us a little bit of runway offensively, but generally I think all those factors play into it.
Last year, a lot of teams had trouble after the in-season tournament. You had a similar run that the Pacers did a year ago, and you've really not had any drop-off. What does that say about your team, and maybe what did you notice about them in those 3 or 4 games after Vegas?
Well, everything is context, so I don't want to compare us to other teams because I don't want to make assumptions about what their experiences were, who they played, or anything like that. But all I know is our guys, aren't going to use anything as an excuse, and so we came off the West Coast in Vegas, flew 3 time zones, 4-hour flight, and then we were 3 and 4 back-to-back Orlando, Miami, and I thought those 2 games in particular just were really, really a great insight into the competitive character of the players on our team. They just showed up and gave the high level of effort against 2 teams on their home court that were playing well heading into those games. And so I was super impressed by just the mettle that they showed during that time. But to compare it to other teams, I wouldn't do that.
Siakam is a guy that I think he's only scored in single digits here with the Pacers one time since he's come over. He plays out of the post, plays in a few different areas of the floor that are unique. What do you see as the biggest challenges that you'll have to deal with and wrangle with him?
Well, they've done a good job with him. They've really helped him become a 3-level player with his 3-point shooting. He's shooting at higher volume than he ever has. He's shooting 40%, I think, this season. And then that adding to that, the mid-post stuff that he does, which makes him a very tough matchup. He can play bully ball against smaller matchups. He gets catches against smaller matchups when you try to switch him. So he's a little bit of a problem, and when you add the 3-point shooting, it only adds a dynamic to his game. And you add him on top of the other guys they have. He's not the only good offensive player over there. Obviously Halliburton's great. Smart's impressive. Miles Turner's really good. Floor stretcher, Maverick, good player. McConnell is a real problem off the bench. So they've got a lot of guys that can really hurt you, and then they play together, which is why they're so good offensively.
Kendrick gave you guys a pretty big lift in the second half against Washington. Just what is it about him when he steps onto the court that it feels like the energy just kind of lifts in the game?
Yeah, he's had a lot of bite for us this year. He's been great. You know, he goes in there and he really amps up the energy of the game. You want your bench to elevate the game. You know, when they go in there, McConnell's like that for Indiana. You know, the game gets faster when he's out there. It gets feistier when he's out there. And that's the sign of a good bench. You know, some guys do that with their scoring, like Isaiah Joe can do that. And some guys do it with the energy, and that's Kendrick, that's Caruso. You know, those guys, they take the whole game to another level when they're out there. It's incredibly valuable, you know, because if you start well, they can extend the lead, and if you don't start well, they can cut into it. You know, but either way, it's important.
Well, because we are not around Chet as much as you are, we know better than us. I don't want to read too much into like seeing Chet in a picture without crutches or with one crutch. Like, how is he progressing from what you've seen?
On track. You know, I'm not going to give you guys the blow-by-blow of what he's doing, but you don't go from like crutches to playing. You know, so there's going to be a progression, and he's going to go through that, and he's right where he should be right now. But right now, it's testing his patience more than anything, because he really is not doing very much physically yet, and he's got to kind of hang in there on that, because he's just such a baller. He wants to play, he wants to work out, but he's also going to heal, and he's done a great job of that. He did a great job the first time around. He's doing a great job this time.
You mentioned his testing his patience. Like, what are your recent conversations like with him? Is he expressing that to you, or are you just noticing that?
No, I just know how much he loves basketball, and you know, I know, having gone through it with him the first time, you know how much he misses it when he doesn't have it, how much he wants to compete, how much he wants to be a part of the team, and so I'm just assuming that, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption.
Anybody else?